Hello and you're welcome. So in this tutorial, I'll show you all about the Animation Desk animation software. I'll show you how to create this bouncing ball from scratch and how we can finally export this. We're going to go over the tools, how to set the frame rate, how to work with layers, how to work with backgrounds, and how to set colors, and finally add a little shadow to the animation. We're also going to learn how to use frames. There's a lot to cover, but don't worry, it's not really that scary. All you have to do is sit back, relax, follow along, and finally we'll be able to create this together. So thank you very much again for watching, and I'll see you in the quick tutorial. Hello guys, and you're welcome. So in this tutorial, we'll be looking at Animation Desk. We'll be looking at where to get the software for the Windows system, how to install the software, and then we'll look at a practical demo and an example. So the first thing to do to get Animation Desk is to go over to your start menu and then search for your store. This will take you to the Microsoft Store. And once you're on the Microsoft Store, just go here to search apps and search for Animation Desk, and it should be this Animation Desk app with the draw, GIF, and cartoon. Once you click on that, this should open up the Animation Desk Windows section, and you can just click on that to install this software in your operating system. Like I said, I'll be using the Windows operating system. So once that's done, all you need to do to use the app is just go to your start menu. You should actually see it as your list of most recently installed apps. If you don't see it here, just search for Animation Desk again, Animation Desk, and you should actually see a narrowed down version of that application. So click on that to open it. And once you do that, you might be required to create a user account so you can easily use your email, and an email confirmation link is going to be sent to you, and you can use that to just open the software. But I believe you can actually test it out without registering. So registering is not a must. It just helps because you have an option to share your work with other users, and you can see what other users have created. So that's just by the way. So I'll just open up an example project I have, and then we'll be building a project from scratch. The reason why I'm opening up this example project is so that I show you how it looks like, and then we'll go over the interface, and then we'll create a new basic animation project. So right here, I have a simple pendulum, and you can see I created everything here within the software, basically all these templates. To play an animation, you just hit the play button down here, and you can actually see this basic swinging pendulum. To stop this, we'll just hit stop, and you can also skip frames by using this arrow to skip between any of the frames you want to see. Now, this is our main draw window. At the top, we have the toolbars, and we also have layers right here. And here we can use options such as importing a collection of arts assets you've created. So down here, if we click on this, this will open up the frame view, and we can see all our frames like so. We can hold the frame. For instance, I'm holding the start and the end frames for 2 frames. We can do things like add frames here. We can delete frames. We can sort frames and rearrange frames. So let's go back by clicking this back arrow. So where are the frames, right? So the frames can be found at the bottom left right here. If I hit on this, you can actually see our frames. So this is frame 1, 2, frame 3, frame 5, frame 6, and I can just slide and drag this down to frame 18. So where is the background? Because we can actually see our frames moving around here, but where is the background? Well, the background is drawn on a background layer. Right here where it says L1, hit L1, and you can actually see at the bottom right here, we have a background layer. If I turn this off, the background layer is going to go off, and this is not going to affect the animation. As you can see, let's just wait for it to load. So we can see we have a animation without the background. So the background is sort of like a guide for us and doesn't affect the animation. So let's just bring the background back. You can do things like lower the opacity. Here it's at 20%. So let's go ahead and increase this. So I'll just set it to like 100%, and we can see the full spectrum of the background, but I don't want it to be distracting. That's why I turned it down to 20%. So if you click on a layer, you'll actually have the frames for that layer. I'm on layer 1, and these are the frames for layer 1. If I wanted to add additional information on any of these layers, I can click on this and then drag up to the first frame. If I click on this, I can start drawing something else. So let's say I have a shape like this. I go to frame 2, I draw on the shape like that. So basically I'm having another layer with this information right here. And if I play it, which is going to happen very fast, we actually see that appearing and disappearing. 1, 2, and it disappears like that. So let's just get out of this, and we can maximize or zoom out of this. So let's go over and talk about the drawing tools here, since we've seen how we can create content. If I wanted to delete what I just did on layer 2, I'll just hit the eraser and select this. Now I have the eraser like this. I can set the size of the eraser. I can set it to like 89. So I can have something quite large, and I can just clean up and get rid of this on frame 1. And I can go to frame 3. I believe that's where I have this. And because I'm on layer 2, if I erase this, it's not going to erase any of our artwork. If I go back to layer 1 and go back to frame 1 and erase like this, I just cleaned up some of my artwork. To undo that, it's just a simple undo. We can actually see these undo arrows down here. We can have access to other brushes, but they have to be paid for. So let's go ahead and see what we have here. Here we have the scissors tool, and basically this is just a selection tool. If I wanted to select this drawing right here, all I do is just draw a lasso around this, and I can just move that around. So that's how we can make that selection. To escape out of this, you can just click anywhere and you're done. So let's undo that by hitting our undo, undo, and undo. So we can actually see that. We have a text or annotation tool. We can add a caption, and we'll just do later for that. We have a fill or a paint bucket tool, and we can use this to fill up a background. So if I go back to my background layer and select this color like so, and hit the paint bucket, you can actually see we're filling that background layer with this color, and because it's on 17, we're not actually seeing that clearly like so. So this is our background layer. We just filled it with a color. I'll just go ahead and undo that background fill. So next we have the pen tool, and we can use the pen tool to, these are our drawing tools, so you can use it to create any kind of drawing you want. This is on 1, so we can bump this up and then have something quite nice, and we can select any of these colors we want, and let's select any other color like so. I'll just drag this and select something pinkish. So that's our pen tool in action. Next we have the, I believe this is the brushes, and again you have to subscribe to have the full context of those brushes, but you can just have a feel of the brushes and then just get along and then use them and see how they work. Now if you use a Wacom tablet, this is pressure sensitive, so basically if you, the more pressure I apply, the thicker this gets, just to give us some variation for that line width like that. So that's what I'm just doing here, using pressure sensitivity. The more I press, the thicker the line gets. And then next we have our highlighter tool, felt tip brush, and this does the same but has a shape to it, and it gives it a very nice touch. You can use this for some like calligraphy like so. I'll always lower this down just to have some smooth designs like so. So that's it for that brush. I'll just use the eraser to clean this one. Oops, I accidentally cleaned my line, so I'll just undo that. I just want to clean this line. Good. So next we have my favorite, which is the pencil, like so. And I'll just like set this to black. And you can just use the pencil to create any sketch. It's very nice and it feels kind of natural. I'll just set this to like 4 pixels. And you can just see how that smoothly, that pencil just gives you that nice, pencil brush. I use this a lot for creating sketches. And here we have our spray paint tool, and like the name implies, you can use this to add kind of like texture. If I say, for instance, I want to add some nice texture effect on each of these, and I'll also turn off the onion skin, so I could just add a nice effect here on this guy, like so. Just add some nice effect. I don't know why I want to do that, but just to make sure that that effect is there, I'll just go ahead and undo all these strokes I did so that we don't destroy our artwork. Nice. So again, we have the roller, and the roller is also going to have some nice effects. For instance, I just roll this texture effect like so. That's also helpful. There's a lot of them. And then here we have the magic. I hardly use this, but this is our dodge tool. So that's dodge and burn. You can either really lighten or darken any of the shading you've done. So that's dodge, and this, I believe this is the burn tool. You can add that as well, so you can make your shading darker or lighter. And then we've seen the eraser, and then these are sizes that will affect any of the tools you've selected, like so. And then we have opacity, that sets the opacity of the brush you used. Apart from these 5 colors, we also have the color palette. We have the eyedropper tool to sample an already existing color, like so. So let's just drag this over here. Say we want to use this pink, and there we go. Not yet. There we go. So we actually have sampled that color here, and we can now go back to another tool and just kind of like use that tool like so. So I'll just go ahead and deselect that. So finally, we have these rulers, and this is how I actually created this shape right here with the rulers. So let's go ahead and start up a new project and create a bouncing ball animation. And I'll show you how to use the rulers so you can have something much more clear after creating a very rough sketch. So to create a new project, let's just go back here, and I'll go over here and hit the plus like so. I'll just hit on this, and I'll just call this bouncing ball. And we have a lot of templates and presets you can use. For instance, if you want to use this for Instagram or TikTok or YouTube, you could just do this and say, for instance, I want to put this on my Instagram's post. So I'll just click on this to have a 1-to-1 ratio. That's basically a square. And then I'll set my frames to 24 instead of that basic frame. Now, if you wanted to set a background or background color, we can actually automatically just do it here. I'll just use this nice, let's make this slightly warm. I'll use this and then hit apply, and then we can actually have that. We can also set a texture or an image. If you have like a reference you want to use, you can just drag that in and slide it in as well. So let's hit on start, and it's going to create a blank sequence. Now, because of this background we created, we have a nice background. And if it's not there, if you want to change it, just go to fill, select any color you want. Let's say this one, and then make sure you're on the background layer, not layer 1, and then hit on that paint bucket tool, and you can see we have this. So I'll be doing all the sketch on the background layer, and then I'll do the frame animation on layer 1. So make sure you're on the background layer, and what we can do is just begin our sketch. So I'll hit the pencil tool, select the first one, and then I'll hit a nice blue color like so, and then test it out and see how, yeah, this is not bad at all. So first I'll create a nice rough vertical guide. This will give me an idea of where I want the animation to start, and I'll create a nice floor like so. So I'm just dragging the horizontal line to create a nice floor, and I'll just have this perspective lines to show where the floor is. So this is going to be my last frame, so I'll just draw a elliptical shape like so, and then it's going to be my start frame. So my second frame is going to be another ball slightly in the third frame. So this is just slowly falling out like that, and then it begins to go down real fast like so, and then fast again. And we'll just have one right here, I guess, so it's going back up. And I don't like how this one is just super whoops. So you can see one of the issues we actually have is because we've colored this. So let's go ahead and set this back here, and let's just use this one. Actually change my mind, make this slightly more circular, and it's only going to squish when it's actually here, and I'll just make this more like so. So this is just a general idea of what we want to use this for. And then here on layer 1, I'll begin to use the template. So before we begin our animation, what we want to do is to look at some of these template tools. So I'll select the pencil and go to our drawing tools right here. So if I click on that, we can see the ruler, a quadrilateral, ellipse, triangle, and a protractor. If I click on the ruler, we can see a ruler. It changes to a quadrilateral, which is a rectangular square shape, an ellipse, a triangle, and a protractor. And the way to draw is each time you select any of these tools and you're close to the edge with the measuring scale, we can just drag this. If you're on a, say, pencil tool, for example, I'll just switch this to black. And we can actually see we're actually drawing these lines. I'll just undo that and go to layer 1 so that I can easily erase these. So I'll just draw this line, draw another one. You can just drag this here and hold any section, and you can actually see that's how you draw your lines. To rotate this, you can click on this edge and rotate, hold and grab this, and you can draw vertical lines like so. Now sometimes it's a little glitchy with the tablet, but sometimes it does really excellently well. So that's how you can use like a ruler to draw out any lines you want. You can increase the size by clicking on this tip, and you can actually see you can use this to draw diagonal lines like so. And since I'm using a Wacom, it's pressure sensitive. You can actually see the difference between those thicknesses and like so. And I'll just rotate this like so and use that to draw a grid. You can use this for a lot. So to change this to an ellipse, I'll just right click this and go to ellipse and drag this edge and drag this edge so I can have a small circle, and I can just place this right here again, just trace this out like so. And you can see you have a circular template, and this is what we're going to be using to create our squash and stretch animation for our bouncing ball. I'll just go around this, and there you have it. You have this shape. Another thing I'd like to also point out is, in case you create a shape and you don't like that shape, you can use this tool, and I'll change this to a rectangle, the scissors tool, and I'll drag a rectangle around this shape. And I can not just only move this, I can squish this and stretch it as well, so I can have a shape that's quite similar to the others. So that's what we're going to be using for this bottom. Another thing I quickly want to mention is, let's just go ahead and use the eraser tool, set this to a size of 100, and quickly clean out the content we just created on our layer 1. Like so, we've cleaned this so we have a clean document to work with. Another thing I would like to mention is, let me just bring out back the ellipse and draw this. Let's say I place this here on this center guide. If I switch over to the pencil tool and use that to draw a circular template, we can actually see something happening here. This is our layer 1, and this is our frame 1, but our frame 1, we can see a semicircle here. So it means this needs to be placed slightly down, or else we're going to have clipping. So what I'll do is to use the scissors tool, and let's just draw a nice mark here on this, and then move this downwards a little bit till we see that starting point. So this is a good starting point. So what I want to do is to mark this starting point, and I'll just go over to the background, use the pencil tool, use like a reddish color. So I'll just go over here, pick this very bright red, and I'll just use that to mark this section here. See, this is our starting point, and this is going to be our ending point for our animation as well. Now, also to prevent that clipping, we can just quickly use that when we create our frames to find out where that object is going to be for the last one. So let's say we are creating 12 frames. So I'll click on this plus and I'll just say, let's say 11, like so. So click on this. So we've added 11 frames, including the first one. That makes this 12. So we have 12 frames. This is our first frame 1. And let's look at the last frame, which is going to be our squished frame. And I'll turn on the onion skin. So let's draw our ellipse here. So I'll go over to the template and I'll click on ellipse, switch this down like this as well. And just go over here like so, and then draw out this template. I believe I should use black because I used black for the entire animation. So let's just set this back to black and then draw out this shape again. So good. So we have this, and we can actually see the semicircle down here at the bottom. So this simply means that we will have issues, right? So we're going to have issues. So what we need to do is to move this shape. So here I'm going to, and this should not be here. This should be on our layer 1. So I'll go back to layer 1 and just slightly put this above here. And let's draw that template again. Let's draw that shape. Now we can actually see that it's clipped a little bit. So let's use our selection tool or scissors tool. Select this and move this slightly up like so. And I think it's totally fine here. And what I'll do is to just use Control and minus to zoom out a little bit. And what I'll do is try to retain the volume like so. I'm just drag this like so and place it here. So this is going to be our volume of our squash, and this is going to be our last frame. So from frame 1, this is our key positions, top frame, and then this is going to be our bottom frame like so. So let's go back here and let's start creating the in-between animations between the top and the bottom. So we know at frame 1, we have this drawing. So let's go to frame 2. So on frame 2, I'll bring in the ellipse. There you go. Let's drag this down. Drag this down. I believe it's the same size as this one. And the rotation doesn't matter because we don't have any shading around it. But just to be precise, I'll place this here. And for frame 2, this is slightly going to move downwards a bit because it's going to be a slow movement. So when you have your drawings, they are close to each other, that means they will actually they will ease out of this maximum position. So let's go to frame 3 and I'll drag this down a bit, trying to maintain that guide. So we're using the drawing to represent that center of that guide. And if there's a small error, don't worry, we can always use the eraser tool, set this to a small size, and just go in here and erase just this section, just to make this slightly cleaner. And let's go to frame 4. Now it's using what is called onion skinning, and basically it's showing you the previous frame. So here on frame 3, we can see frame 2, and on frame 4, we can see frame 3, right? So on frame 4, there's no drawing, so we're just seeing the content on frame 3. And the way to enable onion skinning is to click on this light bulb here, and you can see that onion skin. You can always go to the settings, this gear icon right here, and you can see the onion skin, and we can set it to any onion skin type we want to use. I'll just leave it as the default. The color graded onion skin, it's a subscription based, so the demo version, which is this free version we're using, doesn't have that color coded onion skinning. Too bad, too poor. So let's go ahead and jump to, we're on 4 right now. We don't have the drawing for 4. And I'll see this object has begun to move with speed. So I'll just put it down here. And let's go back to our pencil tool, make sure we have black selected, and let's draw out the shape like so. And now let's go to frame 5. And for frame 5, let's just drag this down here. And let's draw this. And let's go to 6. So at 6, we'll begin to elongate this guy. So I'll just draw this and I'll make sure it's at the center or else it will be wobbly. So let's just draw this. And this is too large. So what I'll do is to select. That's a terrible selection. So I'll just hit this and just draw, make sure I draw a nice circle around this object. And let's just drag this, and pull it down a little bit because we want it to retain that volume. Like so. So this is 6. Go back to our pencil. And it's going to be 7. And let's see, okay, this is 7. So this is 6, 7. We're seeing 6. So let's go to frame 8. Let's turn off onion skinning. So this is 6, this is 7. So we're seeing 6 right here. So 7, we'll just draw one more. Or what we will do is just make sure it has reached the bottom right here. So what I'll do is to delete from 7 down to 11. So to do that, let's go over here. And from 7, I'll click on this section. Oops, sorry. Let's go back. And let's click on this check mark here. And let's click on 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. And let's say delete. And it's asking us if we are sure. So let's clear out these 5 frames and test out our animation. So let's go back here. And we have it down to 7. Let's just quickly play this and see how this goes. So this is super fast. So what I want to do is to change the frame rate of this animation. To do that, go to your settings. Here, let's set this to, I'll set it to 12. Let's go over here. This is 24. I'll just set it to 12. And let's play the animation again. So we can actually see it falling down and going back, or just falling down. So if we want to set our animation to go back up, what we need to do is to now start, changing our frames. So here we have frame 7. So let's add another frame here called frame 8. So frame 8 is empty. The onion skin is on, it's showing us 7. So we want to animate this guy going back up. So it has already bounced. So I can actually see that frame 6 is actually going back up. Let me just get rid of this. Frame 6 is getting back up. This is frame 7. It's down, it's going back up. Down, it's going back up. So I'll take 6, right click, and I'll just say copy this frame. Copy current frame. So now I have frame 6 and 7, which are the same thing. 6, 7 are the same thing. So I'll take 7 down to 9. Let's see, 9 is empty. So we don't need frame 9 right now. So let's go ahead and delete frame 9. So now we have 6 and 7, just the same thing. I'll just take 7 and rearrange it. So we can just click and hold 7. Sometimes, I don't know why it does that. It doesn't really hold it. And we can click, hold, and drag to rearrange. I'm trying my Wacom, it's not working, but let's see if good. So I just used my mouse and it's working. So now, once it goes down, it'll start going back up, right? So we can duplicate 5 and then put that underneath 7 because 5 is simulating the action that it's going back up as well. So let's take 5. Right click, duplicate or copy. So we have 2 5s. 5 is now 6. So let's left click and hold on 6. Not 5, but 6. So let's click and hold 6. And let's drag this and put it under under 9. So let's hold that and just drag this and put it under. It doesn't want to go. So let's see if we can take 9 and put it above like so. So let's test the animation to make sure everything's working fine. So we can actually see it's, it goes back down and it goes back up as well. So we can even make this essentially smoother by still looking at this. So we need these frames here, here, and here as well. So that's going to be a little assignment. Also, I noticed this frame has a little bit of, we need to correct this, or else we're going to have this frame that has this wobbly thing. So I'll just try to clean up this line like so, and just clean this up so that when the animation plays, we don't see that thing just wobbling like that. All right, so that's how you can create a basic animation using this software. And to export the animation, right here, we can use this to export, and we can just see the name we gave it, the duration, and it's going to be milliseconds, is less than a second, and we can export. Let's just get rid of this. So we can save this to any location we want. I'll just call this bounce. So it wants a folder. I'll just select any of my folders. So I'll select my pendulum folder, and it's going to export this, and it always stops at 50% and gives me an error because it tells you this is successful, but when I open it up, I can't actually use it. It wants me to pay for it. So it says cannot render file. So I understand what they try to do there. That's not nice. You should let us be able to export our animation. This is an MP4 animation, so it stops at 50%. So basically that's it. It's a really nice and awesome tool. We haven't even played with the object. What we can even do is to go back to each of our frames. Let's select an object here. Let's say we select this one, and I don't know if this will work. So not black. I want to try something else, and go over here and fill this with this green. So we can go ahead and fill all of our frames with a nice green ball. Just drag this, fill this one. Now with this we can even be quite fast and select multiple frames and fill them up, and before you know it, it's going to tell you it's actually an enhanced version. And what we can even do is to add some of these nice textures. So let's say let's try this one here. So just add this, and it's actually green. Let's try complement. Let's try something yellowish like so, and I'll just do this just to add a nice variation to the ball. Let's just quickly do this like so, and we are on frame 7, 6. Let's go to 5. Let's go to 4 like so. Let's go to 3. Let's go to 2. Let's go to 1 like so. So if we play this, and we can even get rid of this background layer, and we can play it now and test it and see. So we can actually see our slight little texture on our green colored ball. And one thing we can do to make this quite interesting before we quickly wrap up is to add a nice shadow. So let's see how we can add a little shadow here to improve this. Now we've been working on our layer 1, and our layer 1 contains our shape, and then on our layer 2 and 3 we have nothing. In fact, we only have 3 layers, but on the full version we have unlimited layers. So let's see if we can utilize layer 2 to create this shadow at the bottom of our object. So as you see, when it touches the ground, I want to quickly indicate this shadow, and as it goes back up, the shadow becomes smaller till it disappears. So on frame 7 on layer 2, make sure you click layer 2, frame 7, and then what we can do is to just draw a nice little elliptical shape and fill that shape with a nice shadow color. So here I'm just going to go over to the ellipse tool, and this is super large. I just want to drag this a bit and see how far I can squish this down so I can have something elliptical like this. Not bad. So with this selected, can we directly fill this with a color? Let's try it out. So I have this shape, and if I click on the fill tool, it disappears. So I believe we can't really use that trick. So let's first have an enclosed shape. So we can't really see that ellipse anymore. Make sure I select this layer. And then we'll click on our ruler and right click the ruler and click on ellipse, and then quickly draw this elliptical shape. I think that's fine. And then we'll use black to just draw an outline around this object like so. So now we have this outline and we can actually see its position on this layer. Let's select this shape real quick and kind of let me zoom out a bit and place and drag it right here. I want it to be just underneath. So I'll just drag this edge and try to make this slightly match up with the shadow. So this is going to be our shadow layer. I'll just leave it like so. And what I'll do is, I don't think let's make this slightly out like so, because the shadow is a bit longer and elongated. That's totally fine. And I'll just hit escape. I'll click outside to select this. So now that we're on layer 2, we can use our fill and then use a nice purpley cool color for the shadow, and we'll just fill this over here like so. And what it's done, it is actually beneath this guy. So we'll try and make our layer 1 above the shadow layer. So I'll click on layer 1. I'll left click and hold. Click on layer 1, click and hold, and drag layer 1 and place it above. So now we can see our layer 1 is above this guy. So let's test out the animation and see what we're working with. So we can actually see the shadow appearing at the bottom. So what we can do is to make this more interesting. So I'll just pause this. And right here on 7, so on 6, I'll have the same shadow I have on 7, but I'll make it slightly smaller. So let's go to 6, 7, and we're on layer 2. Let's copy the content of layer 2 like so. I'll just copy this guy, do Control C, and then on frame 6, I'll go to my layer 2 and paste that. So we've pasted this image. So what we're going to do is slightly make this smaller, like so, like that, and then put it down a bit. Let's make it slightly smaller. And then on 5, so we go to 6 now, select the content we have on 6. So I'll just use my marquee tool, like so, and Control C to copy. So I'll go to 5, and let's make sure to turn on the onion skin so we can see it. So on 5, right now, what we can do is paste this, and we'll make it smaller again, just to indicate that it's going up. So someone actually said if you see an object falling from the sky, very large, an object rather, falling down from the sky, and you notice the shadow getting bigger and bigger and bigger, that means stay away from that shadow, right? So let's just play this and see how it looks like. So I'll just switch over to my pencil tool and play this. right, so I think that's a nice little animation there. We have our little shadow, and once it's going back up, we need to set the shadow to get a little smaller. So that's all those little tweaks, we have right here. So here we can go back to this layer, select this guy, select this one. And we also have, as we can see right here, we have this guy going back up. So it hits the ground. So it's going back up, right? So if it's going back up, it's already hit the ground. We have this shadow right here. So this point where it's going back up as well, we need another shadow that's starting to get smaller. And then as it gets up here, it's also getting smaller as well, so that it doesn't really look weird. It just hit the ground and now it's going back up. We actually don't see that. So I strongly believe we need another set, this set right here on 6. We need to place it here on 8, like so, but I don't want this to get super confusing, but we need one, just like we need one here. So if it's going back up, this is going to get smaller, right? Like so. So we need to copy this and put it in the frames, but I'll leave it. I don't want it to be super complicated as it is right now, but that's a very good way to add some of that, because you actually see when it's going back up now, it doesn't have the shadow. So the first hit, now it's going back up, that shadow is not there, like so. All right, guys, so thank you very much for watching. I hope you've learned something about Animation Desk and seen how the program works. It's a nice, fun, intuitive program. By default, it has a lot of tools. Some of them I haven't given to you yet, but you need to pay a yearly subscription to have access to the full features, and I think it's super cheap. It's December right now. I'm pretty sure they're doing a lot of sales, so do check them out if you like their products. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you in the next tutorial.